I didn't speak to my parents again after they put my cat down. I herniated 2 discs at my warehouse job lifting a box wrong. The doctor gave me muscle relaxers and said 6 weeks of rest minimum. My parents lived 20 minutes away and started coming by to help with groceries and cleaning. My mom kept mentioning how hard it must be to bend down for the litter box. I told her I was managing fine with a grabber tool. My cat Booker was 10. I'd raised him from a 3-week-old kitten I found behind a gas station. Bottle fed him every 2 hours for weeks. He slept on my chest every single night. One Thursday morning, Booker barely touched his food and his ears felt hot. He was due for vaccines anyway. The vet was 10 minutes away, but I couldn't lift the carrier with my back. I called my mom. She said they'd take him, no problem. I gave her my card and said I'd make dinner as thanks. An hour later, I called to check in. My dad answered. I could hear the TV in the background. He said Booker had a small fever, and they were waiting for the exam results. His voice sounded flat, but I figured he was just bored in the waiting room. 2 hours after they'd left, they used their spare key to let themselves in. My mom's face was red and puffy. My dad stood by the door like he wanted to bolt. I knew immediately. My mom said the vet found a mass on Booker's kidney, stage 3 or 4 cancer. She said they had to decide fast and they put him down so he wouldn't suffer. I asked why they didn't call me. She said I was already dealing with so much pain and they didn't want to add to it, that seeing him die would have traumatized me. I told them to leave. My mom said they were trying to help. I yelled at her to get out. She wouldn't. She kept saying how hard this was for everyone, how they loved Booker too. My dad said I should be grateful they handled it so I didn't have to watch. I said Booker died with strangers instead of me, that I deserved to say goodbye. My mom's face crumpled and she said, "We thought this might be easier with everything going on." I asked what she meant. She glanced at my dad. He shook his head slightly. I walked to the counter where they'd left the vet paperwork. The receipt showed check-in at 2:15, euthanization at 3:42. I'd called my dad at 3:30. He said they were still waiting on exam results. I held up the receipt. "You lied to me while he was already dead." My dad said he didn't want me getting upset while he was driving home. I said I could hear a TV when he answered, not road noise. He went quiet. My mom started crying harder. She said they'd been worried about me for weeks, that every time they came over I looked exhausted from taking care of Booker on top of my injury, that the litter box was in the bathroom and what if I slipped reaching for it, that they'd talked about maybe fostering him temporarily until I healed. I stared at her. "You'd been planning this." She said no, but her voice cracked. She said when the vet mentioned the mass, they thought maybe it was a sign, that it would be cruel to put Booker through treatment when I could barely take care of myself. I called the vet's office on speaker. When Dr. Kim answered, I asked her directly what she'd told my parents about Booker's treatment options. Long pause. Then she said she'd found a mass that needed a biopsy to confirm cancer, that if it was cancer, there were treatment options including surgery and medication. She'd recommended the biopsy first. She said my parents asked a lot of questions about cost and stress on the cat. When she suggested calling me to discuss options, my mother said I was very sick and couldn't handle the conversation. I thanked her and hung up. My mom said the vet bills would have been thousands, that I couldn't afford it on disability pay. I reminded her I had savings and insurance specifically for Booker's medical care. My dad finally spoke up. He said even if the treatment worked, who would give Booker his medications while I was hurt? Who would take him to follow-up appointments? They were already driving over every other day to help me. I asked him to leave his key. He put it on the counter without looking at me. My mom tried to hug me. I stepped back. She said I was making this worse than it needed to be, that we were all grieving, that I was choosing anger over sadness, and ruining what should be a moment of family support. I opened the door and waited. They left. My mom was still talking as my dad guided her out. Something about how I'd understand someday when the shock wore off. That was 4 years ago. They've sent letters, emails, showed up twice. My mom's sister called last year saying my parents are getting older and I'm being selfish. I blocked her number too.